You got me. Oh, you can't see what I got. This is something special. Secret chain. Mine. All mine. You can't have it. Ah! We are gonna review this molted wax and throw it on my ride and give it a whirl. You know, I've been using different kinds of lubes all over, all different types, all over the decades. Yeah, decades, that makes me old. But anywho, we're gonna try this molted wax and see how it really performs on my own bike here in Colorado, that kind of thing. It has really good reviews. It's been tested on a lab down in Australia. I'll put a link down below. But after this, let's show you how to put this stuff on. It's kind of messy, kind of tricky, but here's some tips and tricks on this. So let's check it out. Secret lube. After this. Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles. Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with the guy. Hi, I'm Justin, the guy. Obviously, I have a garage shop. Taking scary how to use bikes one bike at a time. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe. Okay, welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles and hanging out with the guy. In this old bike series, we're doing tips and tricks on the secret lube from Silca. So this is my drivetrain currently. I got a new chain and a new cassette for it, but I just want to do a little sound check on how it sounds now in shifts compared to after having it treated with a new chain and cassette. Of course, it's going to be a little bit better, but I just want to give it a little bit of pre-show, right? So let's go through these. Oh, you hear all that? Yeah, I got into like a creek bed the last time I went for a ride, so. All right, you get the point. Let's just dive into this and show the process that it's actually endorsed by the actual Silca CEO, how it's done, and we'll just go from there and see what is the outcome. All right? All right, what I got is a new chain. The cassette doesn't need to be cleaned because it's obviously still in the box, so we're gonna check that out. But with the chain, it's highly recommended using a sonic cleaner, which, hey, fortunately I have one, and as if you know, I do quite a bit of those. So what they're suggesting is doing 2 times in the sonic cleaner. Let's get this bad boy on. To clean it off, and each time with a cleaning solution. I'm going to use Simple Green as my pure Simple Green as my cleaning solution to strip the manufacturer grease off of there. You know, I'm kind of have a reservation on that because the manufacturer grease usually is pretty decent and lasts a while, but it is sticky and does attract dirt and so forth. But anywho, so I'm going to take the power link off, and to do this, I've already done this with another bike, so I got a bag for Simple Green, and also the third stage of cleaning is the rubbing alcohol. So first part, we're going to put this chain in a bag, and you can use a bag or a jar, and that way it just gets concentrated, because I usually do a solution in my bath, and that way I'm not contaminating everything else, but we'll just put a little bit of Simple Green in there. Got it rocking, so I fold that down, zip tie it so vacuum seals a little bit there, and hit the 5 minute, so hopefully that won't be too much of a distraction. But over here is where the secret sauce is cooking. So what I've done is basically I got myself a mason jar, and I've done this like a little wax trick with something else I was playing with, so I figured a jar was good. The video that the CEO uses, you can put the bag in hot water, where he's really into the Instant Pot pressure cooker kind of thing, or Instant Pot, where I decided to use my old fondue pot where we got during our wedding gift, and you know, we never used it in the last 10 years we've been married. So anyway, sorry, but it's gonna get some use now. And I decided not to put it directly into the crock pot itself. It's just kind of all over in the mess, and I figured the jars would keep it more isolated and in a better containment. Then you can just cap it and reuse it, that kind of thing, right? Since you're using completely clean chain for each time, you're not going to worry about cross-contaminating this lube each time, and it's plenty. I mean, I only used half the bag for the first chain I did, and this is going to be my second, so I'm going to dump the rest of this in there and let it kind of smolter and get ready. Also, I made myself a little J-hook with a hook to hang on a peg over on top, so when I'm done, I can hang dry it over the jar so it can drip the excess back into the jar, so I'm not wasting all this extra on the floor. So, so I'm just going to add the remainder of this into my jar. And that way, if my wife wants to do fondue, I don't have to worry about tungsten disulfide being contaminating into the actual pot. So if we ever use it for what it was intended to, I'll get those little bits later. The first trial I used a tin, and this seemed to work really well too, and it had a water bath, heated it up, kind of like, you know, if you ever like melted chocolate, same kind of concept. So that seemed to work. I'm going to let this cook down, kind of turn it up a little bit. There's a temperature range on this. I don't know if it's on the bag, but it was in the video, of somewhere like 160 degrees. You don't want to get too hot because it, I don't think it'll burn it per se. It just may change the compound or the construction of it. But I'm going to let this, you know, molten down while we're speaking here. So I might add a little more hot water to this. And my stuff's cooking. All right, the first cycle is done. So what you do is take this, and granted it's a new chain, it's not going to be a lot of you know, gunk in there. So I'm going to massage the chain, and what I'm going to do is pour it out. The chain that I did before was actually a used chain, and this is why I don't fill my sonic tank, ultrasonic cleaner, all the way up to the top. That way, because I do these little shot cleanings for chains and so forth, then I can just reuse it in there. So then it kind of, you know, adds to the concentration of what's in there. So, and I kind of let it vacuum itself up using the water pressure, so get less air in there. Then that's the stage 2. So this chain will be squeaky clean time we're done. All right, round 2 is completed. So this has like not dirty at all, which is kind of amazing. So we're gonna just drain this out into the tank like so. And the last bit, we're going to use rubbing alcohol. So I'm going to transfer it into a second bag. So what I would do if it was a dirty chain or a used chain, I would probably rinse this each time. That way, you're really just kind of added the hot water rinse to really kind of get it out, all that contaminant. So don't forget my little power link. So we got the chain in there. Now we're going to do the rubbing alcohol. Finish this little bottle up. And again, use the vacuum of the tank water to vacuum it in there. Gets it all coated. So yeah, give it another shot. Alrighty. We have our alcohol drip done, and you're seeing no impurities. So when I did this on the used chain, it yeah, there was definitely some impurities in there, and I did actually the alcohol twice. Reason being is I just wanted to make sure I got all those impurities out. So what I did is got the rubbing alcohol on there. So we're gonna let this hang to dry. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hang it on that hook from a spoke and put it in front of a fan so air dries faster. You can probably hear the fan in the background because it is 90 degrees outside and the garage is getting a little warm. But you wanna pad this dry, and I'm gonna lace it up and put it on a clean rag so it will, after it's dried, then we'll do the dip. Check it out. All right, let's talk about this process a little bit. So I got it liquefied. I had put it all in this jar, but it was actually too much volume for the jar itself, and I know I'm not going to use that much. So I poured half of it back in the tin because the high volume, the heat of the jar was not tall enough. The first time I did this, I put it like in a big boiling pot of water in my kitchen, so the height of it. But if you fill your secret lube or chain lube blend probably to where the water line is, you're probably not going to have a problem where I have it at now. So it's actually, you can touch it. So there's a theory behind this that I want to try. And I want to dip the chain inside the jar itself, and then I want to throw it with the actual secret chain blend, use the sonic cleaner, and the sonic cleaner will go through the glass and kind of penetrate and kind of do those micro explosions, getting all those little parts, and it's kind of really getting it into all those little crevices and nicks. The tungsten sulfide, what I understand is a kind of a penetrating into all those little pores of the steel of the plates of the chain. So that's where it kind of forces that wax in there as well. So it's a combination, and tungsten's used for a lot of like food machinery and so forth. So yeah, I wouldn't say put it on bread or toast and eat it, but it's probably a little safer than some of the lubes that might be out there. But anyway, this is a particularly interesting blend to me because it has that penetrating piece. When I played with some wax, I used some wax, like the over-the-shelf wax itself at the grocery store, and there was like a whole bunch of mixed reviews. I did on a couple customer bikes, and they seem to have like okay. So I might work on my own special blend later on, hint hint. But I wanted to try an actual off the shelf that had a high quality to it, so I can get familiar with it and understand the properties and how it works, and also get my little mix and tips and tricks practices down so it's not a huge mess and it's easy to reapply. And that might be something I add to my actual tune-up packages, like, oh, if you want the hot wax mix added to your drivetrain clean, be an X amount, but it keep you from having to do this. The reason, another thing I got intrigued about this one, because it has a wet lube that goes with this. It's the same stuff, just with like 10 or 20% water. So the idea is you can ride it like for 500, 700 miles, whatever the case may be, and if it starts chattering on you, then you can use the wet lube to kind of reapply, and then when you get a chance, then you can redo the wax. And the idea behind this whole mess of travel is it's supposed to lengthen your chain, the life of the chain, the cassette, and all your wear points on your drivetrain. So some of the studies have shown that it improves it by twice the life. So that's pretty significant, especially when you're talking about like chain rings and cassettes where you're more of expensive bits, and also the performance factor. It's super quiet and super smooth. So some people really like that feature. And it's being used on the race markets, and obviously the race markets, they have a guy like me working on the bikes every day, so that makes it a little bit easier for them to try it out, but as for yourself at home. But it's turning out to be, it's kind of a nice little fun little science project kind of thing with wax, and the only thing you do is get wax burns, whatever your kink is. Anywho, I'm gonna go check my chain and let's dip this thing. All right, so I got my chain. I did like a 8 fold over using this hook design with a spoke. Reason being is I have the hook here so I can just let it drip inside there when I'm done. But first and foremost, I need to get it inside here fully submerged, and oh, look in there. I have a tentacle faux pas I gotta work out. So I gotta get this in there. And then I can probably take this out so I'm not splashing water everywhere. And I need to get the whole chain submerged without splashing my eyeballs. Getting there. So that might be where I'll need to figure out the full amount. Maybe I can add some of this that's still hot. Top it off. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I know the chain will fit in there if I don't use the spoke trick, so I wanted to see if I can do it with this first. So, trial by error, right? And I'll reheat that so I can get it all in the jar. So, okay, you get down in there. There we go. All right. Woo. Waxy fingers. You ever played with wax when you were a kid? Yeah, this is definitely up your alley. So I'm going to put this in the Sonic cleaner, and let me show you how that all works. So I have my other bits here that I'm going to clean. Ooh, that's a little warm. That's part of the glass jar is a little bit cooler on the top. So I can just set this in here on a clear space of that Sonic cleaner. And I'm going to do probably just like 5 minutes to get it all gyrated up and get it in there, all those little nooks and crannies, and we'll see what we get at the outcome. All right. So the reason why I like the Sonic cleaner has a heating element, so you can actually keep it fairly warm. So I put the tray back in there just to do a showing of what I can do. Or actually, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this. So I heated up the rest of this so I can get it back into the container, like so. And so I'm not being wasteful. Got to have all that good juices, right? So yeah, if you move it around, and it's starting to get a little sticky inside there. So obviously I want to get it out before it seizes inside the jar, which would be a mess, right? So the idea of having the hooky deal is wherever you got there, it'll drip back into the jar. And I'll go ahead and turn off this guy, and we should be good to go after it dries. Yeah, so I guess if it having a bigger part is this liquid actually goes pretty high, and that's gonna be hard to kind of liquefy. So I might just do the hot water pot trick and salvage this for actually fondue. Or maybe I'll use a crock pot, a higher one, and more of a cylinder style, and I can get the jar. Reason why I like the jar is that I can just put the cap back on and call it good, and just heat it back up when I'm ready to go, and re-energize all those little special molecules and so forth. And I should, you're getting like the waxy coaty build in there, and that's supposed to get into all those little nicks and crannies of the surface of the metal. So, and as the aluminum here, you can kind of see there's a coating on that. So once that dries, we're going to throw it on a chain and see how it shifts and how quiet it is. So I already got the cassette and everything ready to go. So we just need to wait now for it to dry. All right, here's trial. So got it dried up, but it's still a little soft. And I think you want to put this on when it's a little soft still, not completely wet, but you kind of see it's getting very, very stiff, and you kind of want to work those out a little bit. The idea is you want to be able to get some of that wax to be on the actual cogs in the chain. So I do put the power link in there so I don't have to try to force it through wax. So if you leave it on there before you wax it or install it, that way it's already kind of ready to go, and you don't have to force it out. That was the mistake I did on the old wax a while back. So I can kind of get that little, okay, you're going to stay on there? You stay on there then. It's fine. All right, so let's thread this through. And with chains, some of your chains will have a directional, so you want to keep mind of that. And this one, whoop, come on. Oh, it's really kind of stiff. It doesn't want to go in there. Thread through like a needle. There you go. No, go down. Wow. Yeah, it really wants to fight me on this, doesn't it? There we go. So this is a pretty mess when you're on your first ride until it sheds all that extra chain off. So, and for me, I have not clipped my chain yet, so what I'll need to do is figure out where I need to cut that. So, I'll lay it on the small chain ring. There we go. So So I'm looking about that guy there. So I didn't mind thinking about having my extra bit waxed. This is a piece of chain I'll put my pouch too. So if I need to swap that chain out or splice it for any reason, I will already have a pre-lubed piece of chain ready to go. That kind of thing. So get this on here. Like that. And there's a little bit of a battle, but since I did put it on there with the wax already on there, so it kind of makes it easier to put back on. So, all right. So yeah, here we go. Here's the test. Turn off my fan so it'll be a little bit quieter, and hopefully my mic can pick up the sounds, or the lack of. Get this light a little over here. All right. So you're going to see a lot of shedding of it going through the gears, but it'll eventually work its way through. And you definitely probably want to do this outside or somewhere. Look at how that just shed off of it. But there's the secret sound of stuffiness. Check all those gears. Oops. Uh-oh. I've got my chain a little too short considering it's a bigger cassette range. So I might have to splice that other piece back on there. Well, I'll just have to work around that. But a bit of derailleur adjustment there to the new cassette. So we have it, ladies and gentlemen. And they say after the first ride, all that stuff sheds off and it's like super smooth. So there's the secret Silca chain lube. And actually it's pretty coated, penetrated the new chain, and it's going to get a little coating on all the gears here. So let it sit overnight and take it for a ride tomorrow and see how it turns out. And I may put another link in there because the likelihood of me being small is pretty zero. Because I'll only use that small chainring on some serious hill climbs, and I'll be in the bigger gears anyway. So I want to accommodate for big and big just in case I go in there and I don't want to rip my derailleur off. And I've done that before. So anywho, that's hot wax 101. Yeah, I'll give another follow-up review video on how it turns out and how long it lasts. I have my neighbor on hers and she races, so we'll see how her gravel experience with the molten wax. So she does gravel riding and racing, so we'll see that holds up. It's the same stuff, and I'm going to use it on my recreational riding of bike paths and so forth on my road, and we'll go from there. Well, thanks for hanging out with me in the garage, and until next time, have a great day.